A staggering 2/3 of Brits are calling for Harry and Meghan to be stripped of their HRH title.
Public betrayal in front of the world by Harry and Meghan.
You can't trade and trash. You can't trade on your royal status whilst at the same time trashing it.
Duke and Duchess are going to be losing their titles.
It changed because she's a psychopath.
Meghan Markle just betrayed the UK Parliament by turning her royal title into a global punchline.
For her, all of these things.
From faking a royal tour in Nigeria to screaming "I'm Sussex now" at a Beyoncé concert, she's officially crossed the line.
Prince Harry, tour of Nigeria. It's a tour of Nigeria and what's looking like a royal visit. And Meghan Markle has declared there that Nigeria is actually her country.
Funny too that you keep saying Meghan Markle, you know I'm Sussex now.
The time has come to strip the Markles of their royal titles they have been using for grifting. This is the UK Parliament officially gunning for Meghan's title, and it's getting brutal. After years of her dragging the monarchy through podcast pity parties, cashing in on family trauma, and crying about royal racism while simultaneously branding herself as the ultimate Duchess of the digital age, they've had it. Britain is done being her content bank.
That you either respect the system, you have your titles, everyone sort of doffs their hat, especially in the US, you respect the system, you keep your titles, and either you play a positive role, as a lot of the royals do in this country, or you live quietly as individuals.
And don't think it's just a few salty lords in wigs. A YouGov poll from May 2025 literally showed that 77% of the British public want Meghan stripped of her Duchess of Sussex title. Let that sink in. That's not just a majority, that's the entire country screaming, "Take the tiara away." It's the highest anti-Sussex sentiment ever recorded. Like girl, when you're less popular than potholes and parking tickets, maybe it's time to stop calling yourself a duchess.
Because the Queen quite rightly said you can't use your HRH, you can't use royal, and you can't be half in and half out, which is what they wanted.
Meanwhile, Buckingham Palace is just sitting in the corner like, we didn't see anything, while the House of Lords is practically holding a medieval trial by fire. And I love that for them. Parliament isn't playing royal babysitter anymore. They're doing what the Crown refuses to. Clean up the Meghan mess. The whole "I'm still Sussex, but also I hate the monarchy" act has finally hit a wall, and that wall made of legislation.
If you don't want to be a royal, that's totally fine. Go live whatever alternative life is your preference. But go easy on the use of your titles, regal insignia, demanding your children be granted their birthright titles, demanding taxpayer-funded security, and trotting around the planet cosplaying royal tours.
Enter Lord Simon Lee, yes, an actual peer of the realm with zero interest in Meghan's influencer vibes, who tabled a formal petition in May 2025, and this thing is not symbolic, it's a legislative wrecking ball. It's signed by both Labour and Conservative members, so this isn't even political, it's just universal, we're tired of this woman energy. Finally, something both sides can agree on.
Conservative MP said that he is planning to bring forward legislation in an attempt to strip the Duke and Duchess of Sussex of their title.
This petition doesn't hold back either. It accuses Meghan of diminishing the sovereign dignity of a title bestowed in trust. In normal people speak, she took something sacred and treated it like a prop for her podcast. They're literally accusing her of using the royal title like a party costume. And honestly, where's the lie?
There is pretty much a ticking clock on when this is going to be forcefully removed. They will officially lose their titles. Is that correct?
They're also charging her with unauthorized diplomacy, commercial exploitation, repeated breaches of protocol, and publicly mocking royal titles. Basically, she's been using her Duchess status like it's her personal Instagram filter. Slap it on when you need clout, ditch the responsibilities when things get inconvenient.
Prince William is reportedly formulating a plan to finally strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their HRH titles.
Even Prince William is reportedly involved behind the scenes in ending the Sussex circus. You know it's bad when the future king is thinking, how do we make her go away legally?
To the political spectrum. So our version of the Democrats and the Republicans are saying exactly the same thing, that their titles need to be removed.
And if you think Parliament was already fired up, wait till you hear about the Nigeria disaster of 2024, which, by the way, might go down as the most delusional PR stunt in modern royal history. Meghan and Harry decided to cosplay as working royals and fly to Nigeria. Except, and here's the kicker, they weren't invited. Not by the palace, not by the Foreign Office, not by anyone with actual authority.
Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, are beginning a 3-day visit to Nigeria as part of publicity around the Invictus.
They strutted around in traditional Nigerian attire, gave speeches, posed for cameras with military generals and high-ranking officials, and acted like they were on an official crown tour. Like, how detached from reality do you have to be to think this was a good idea? This was a full-blown diplomatic role-play session sponsored by Delusion. They acted like international ambassadors when they're literally unemployed royals turned reality TV stars.
Meghan, I don't know if this is a royal tour. They're not working royals. Are they? Well, they're not politicians or pop stars. What exactly are they doing touring Nigeria in the first place, Kinsey?
Whitehall and the Foreign Office were completely blindsided. The British government found out about this mess from news clips. Imagine finding out someone is representing your country on foreign soil without your knowledge. Even Buckingham Palace was left blinking in confusion. Nobody knew this was happening. It was the equivalent of crashing your ex's wedding, wearing a crown, and pretending you're the bride.
Seen Meghan's dramatic wardrobe changes throughout it, her insisting that this is her country. Thank you for welcoming me to my country.
So yes, the House of Lords formally cited this trip as unauthorized diplomatic posturing, which means Meghan played Duchess dress-up and tried to speak on behalf of the UK like she still had a role. And honestly, it's hilarious if it weren't so humiliating. She really tried to manufacture a state visit on the back of Netflix deals and Spotify flops. Parliament wasn't amused at all.
We know that he and Meghan are very keen to make a lot of money.
But this was the final straw for Parliament. That Nigeria trip, combined with the title flaunting, the constant monetization of royal pain, and the repeated attempts to emotionally blackmail the monarchy through media interviews, finally pushed the UK's oldest governing institution to act. They're not sending polite letters, they're drafting legislation. Meghan thought she was playing chess, but turns out she brought Uno cards to a constitutional brawl.
Well, they were meant to be talking about Invictus Games, and then she goes to give a speech at the school. She hosts a Women in Leadership conference. Harry's talking about mental health, and it's kind of drifting away from the Invictus Games, which is what the trip was actually meant to be about, to kind of this broad, almost presidential PR tour for the Sussexes.
Meghan Markle didn't just walk out of the palace gates. She ran straight into the arms of corporate media and tried to slap a dollar sign on everything royal. This woman didn't want freedom. She wanted a royalty subscription service. Meghan and Harry practically turned the monarchy into a content bundle.
Disgusting. There's something wrong with them.
First came the sob stories, then the interviews, and right after that, Netflix and Spotify deals worth over $100 million. Because nothing says oppressed duchess like monetizing your trauma in HD with intro music and episode teasers. Markle is so impressed with her own voice, giving speeches, podcasts, etc., but she has nothing to say. It's all word salad. Go away, please. Let's talk about their Netflix documentary. Or, as I like to call it, Harry and Meghan, How to Cry in Designer Clothes. The opening literally featured their royal titles in a regal font like it was some Game of Thrones spin-off. The whole thing felt like a royal trailer park rebrand.
If you don't want to be a royal and you don't want the duty and responsibility that goes with it, then please spare us all the performance art.
They bashed the monarchy, blamed the media, and somehow still used Duke and Duchess of Sussex like a promotional badge. You can't cry about royal oppression while slapping the crown logo on your Netflix banner. It's like quitting your job and then printing the company logo on your OnlyFans. And Spotify? Meghan's Archetypes podcast was basically one long TED Talk about how hard it is being famous, rich, and adored. You'd think she was podcasting from a bunker the way she went on.
Why does she think that anyone actually cares about her podcast? The numbers are tanking.
But here's the thing. That contract was worth $20 million, and it leaned heavily on her using the Duchess title to pull in guests and sell Meghan as royalty with a cause. The only archetype we got was grifter with a mic. Even Spotify pulled the plug and dropped them faster than Meghan drops accountability.
Motherhood, as the first series of her podcast published by Lemonada Media comes to a close, in an interview.
But wait, it gets better. These two geniuses tried to trademark Sussex Royal like it was a pair of leggings. Yes, they actually filed to sell merchandise under the name Sussex Royal globally. T-shirts, mugs, notebooks, all stamped with royalty. Imagine trying to copyright a title granted by the Queen. Like Meghan thought she could own the word Sussex, the way Kylie tried to trademark Kylie.
Why do we care what you think, girl number 40, with your suitcase? No one cares at all what you think about anything.
Except Meghan forgot she wasn't in California. She was still dealing with Queen Elizabeth, who personally stepped in back in 2020 and told them to knock it off. It was the most polite royal shutdown in history, and still more brutal than any lawsuit.
Meghan Markle has been very brazen recently with the use of the HRH. Now, royal fans will know in 2020, during the negotiations for Harry and Meghan to leave royal duties, it was agreed with Queen Elizabeth.
Now Parliament is calling it exactly what it is: unauthorized commercial exploitation of noble status. In regular English, Meghan tried to turn her Duchess title into a brand name, like she thought the monarchy was a reality show she could pitch to Netflix. This wasn't royalty. This was royal fraud in designer heels.
Title that is a long-standing precedent, and there's good reason for it. Basically, the HRH is only given to working royals.
But if you think this ends with Parliament just shaking their heads and moving on, think again. Now comes the real smackdown. Bob Seeley, Conservative MP for the Isle of Wight, isn't just tweeting about Meghan. He's drafting legislation. Yeah, actual laws. He's working to amend the 1917 Titles Deprivation Act, the same law that stripped German royals of their UK titles during World War I. That's how seriously they're taking this mess. Meghan Markle is about to be put in the same legal category as wartime enemies.
They've moved to America, they've got their house, they've got their kids over there, so they're not really part of our...
I don't think it's even that they don't deserve it, it's just they don't want to live it.
Yeah,
so if you don't want to live it, then what's the point?
It will make
having
what
it?
they're saying more authentic, because I think it is authentic, but you can't say all of that and then keep those titles.
You can't demand freedom from the system while squeezing every penny out of its symbols. Meghan has been monetizing misery since the day she left, turning family fallouts into docuseries, royal snubs into podcast content, and every eye roll into an empire. She wasn't oppressed, she was opportunistic.
A fallacy. Meghan has changed. She demands things that she thinks she's entitled to. She has become a mega bitch.
And the best part? Meghan's not up against gossip blogs anymore. She's up against legal precedent and constitutional law. You can't gaslight Parliament. You can't rebrand your way out of a legislative takedown. Bob Seeley and the Lords aren't influencers. They're lawmakers with centuries of protocol behind them. If Prince Harry's 2025 BBC interview was meant to win hearts, let me tell you, it did the exact opposite. This man was scheduled for a neat, simple 10-minute segment.
With the BBC, which incidentally was meant to last for 10 minutes.
And instead, hijacked the studio for over 30 minutes, spiraling into a chaotic therapy session that did nothing but drag him and Meghan deeper into public disgrace. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion, except the driver is holding a mic, crying on camera, and somehow blaming the steering wheel.
Is supporting the king in this family feud, ongoing family feud, after Harry's bombshell BBC interview. It follows the Court of Appeal's decision to not overturn the ruling on his security in the UK.
But the line that really had the UK clutching its pearls in secondhand embarrassment? Harry saying, "I don't know how much longer my father has." Excuse me? Did this man just guilt bomb the King of England on national television to fish for sympathy? That wasn't a heartfelt comment. It was a manipulative masterclass in emotional blackmail. If this is his idea of reconciliation, then Buckingham Palace better keep the voicemail full.
I would love reconciliation with my family. I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff.
And here's where things get hilarious. The palace actually responded publicly, which almost never happens. This is an institution that stayed quiet through everything, from Meghan's Oprah pity parade to the Spotify flop era. But this time, they clapped back and reminded everyone, calmly and professionally, that the courts had already ruled against Harry's UK security demands. The royal version of "boy, sit down."
I mean, Harry's digging an even bigger hole for himself here.
Well, I think he's dug so deep now, he'll strike water any day now.
And the British public? They've had it. A Find Out Now poll showed that 66% of Brits now want Harry and Meghan stripped of all royal status. Not just titles, all of it. No tiara. No fake Duchess signature. No more crying about the crown while cashing royalty checks.
Who still thinks he's prince. And hello, you're not. You're not our prince. You're not royalty to us. We don't give a about you at all. In fact, we dislike you greatly, and we really wish you would go back home. None of us even want you to live here. We were praying you would stay in Canada. So you will not be treated like royalty here. We really couldn't give two shits about your views on the Constitution and the First Amendment. They issued a statement in response to Meta saying that it's getting rid of its censorship program. They want us to know that they oppose it. Why do we care what you think, girl number 40 with your suitcase? No one cares at all what you think about anything. Certainly not Facebook and its censorship program. And Prince Harry is one of the world's least favorites of the First Amendment. He's never seen a First Amendment case in which he chooses the side of free speech. So, I mean, what media organization has he not sued? In any event, I'm sick of their opinions. Sick of them. Especially him, because he's not even one of us. He's not even American. Coming over here judging us and our Constitution and so on. So he goes there because he's like, well, I'm royalty and everyone loves me. I make people feel better when they see me. The mere sight of me makes people feel better. You're in the wrong country, son.
The public isn't just annoyed anymore, it's full-on outrage. And even the BBC issued a quiet apology for letting Harry ramble unchecked for half an hour like he was on a late-night podcast instead of national television. When even the BBC regrets handing you a mic, you know you've crossed a line.
Grieved, frustrated that he's been badly treated, but at the end of the day, that's not the basis of sound legal argument. So he dismisses the appeal. That really says it all. So then we have this interview with the BBC, which incidentally...
Meghan's own words, from her Archetypes podcast, the infamous Oprah interview, and her endless passive-aggressive digs, are being cited in formal government debates. This is next-level embarrassment. Your Netflix drama getting dragged in the House of Lords? That's peak Meghan.
Mass school shooting. She is all about one person. Her. Not even Harry. I don't think she cares about him at all. She cares about herself.
And Parliament is not mincing words. They're saying that Meghan's public behavior, while still holding a royal title, has caused diplomatic embarrassment across the Commonwealth. She accused the royal family of racism, insulted the institution that gave her international relevance, and then had the audacity to act like she's the one being silenced. Honey, when you've got 3 documentaries, 2 books, and a podcast whining about the same thing, you're not silenced, you're sponsored.
The fact that she's continued to use this HRH when they've been instructed not to, I think is absolutely infuriating in Buckingham Palace. And there was a very interesting source inside close to the Prince of Wales who spoke to the Daily Beast.
Not a trending tweet.
And now we've arrived at the final act of this royal meltdown. Duchess of Nothing. That's what Meghan is about to become. Not because anyone stole her title, but because she lit it on fire and danced around the ashes with Spotify cash and influencer captions. She wanted to rebrand the monarchy to suit her aesthetic, and instead, she's becoming the cautionary tale.
Portrayal in front of the world by Harry and Meghan of Harry's own family. I mean, the whole thing is just disgusting.
What began as hushed frustration inside royal circles has now erupted into a full-blown constitutional eviction. Parliament isn't just criticizing her. They're preparing to legally erase her title. She's not being dragged in the press. She's being deleted from the system with laws, bills, and formal petitions. This isn't petty revenge. This is structure correcting its mistake.
PR move.
Because if the monarchy doesn't step up to defend the value of its titles, it loses more than prestige. It loses control. Meghan's been using the Duchess of Sussex like a free trial she refuses to cancel, and Parliament is done watching her run up the bill. This is no longer a royal problem. It's a national one.
Prince Harry is one of the world's least favorites of the First Amendment. He's never seen a First Amendment case in which he chooses the side of free speech. So, I mean, what media organization has he not sued?
Meghan said she wanted freedom, privacy, and peace. But instead, she chose profit, podcasts, and performative wokeness. She monetized her trauma, spun her wedding into a victim story, and turned every royal interaction into a potential Netflix pitch. And now, she's about to become the first duchess in modern history to be stripped, not by scandal, not by tabloid smear, but by statute. Parliament isn't playing anymore. They're not whispering. They're not negotiating. They're legislating her out of the monarchy. And this time, even Meghan's favorite weapon, public pity, won't save her. Meghan's royal fairy tale is over. Subscribe now, because this takedown is just getting started.